My name is Nick May, so here's where we kind of back the train up a little bit, and I tell you a little bit about me. I own a company called Walls by Design. It's a painting company. I don't build walls, I just paint them. And our tagline, oh wait, not yet, sorry, got ahead of myself. We do lots of interior spaces, mostly residential, but we've also done, we've started to do a little bit of commercial over the last 2 years. 10% of my business came from commercial. If you've been to Earl's Restaurant downtown recently, you may have noticed that it has transformed into a totally different space. It used to be very dark, and now it's very bright and airy and has a totally different feel. We are the ones that put the white paint everywhere. So go down there. Their menu's fantastic, and I don't get anything for sending you down there, but just go down there because it's awesome. It's one of my favorite restaurants in Denver. Not just because I painted it. But we're a little bit different. I always tell folks I'm a paint contractor, but I hire starving artists and I teach them the art of painting. Okay? Our tagline is painters by trade, artists at heart. Literally everybody that works for me is an artist. Okay? As business owners, we have to have different competitive advantages, right? Like what makes you different, right? All the way from the beginning, I wanted to build a brand. I never wanted to be Nick May the painter, okay? And so from day one, I've always had employees. This is another big topic. I mean, we could spend whole nights on all of these different topics and listen to the show, because we have talked on a lot of these things. But one of my competitive advantages is the fact that I know how to hire and train, and I figured out the one person, the one attribute that my folks really need to go and be successful on my jobs. So 5 or 6 years ago, I was just like any other paint contractor. I need another painter. I need another warm body, right? And we're busy. And I looked around and I realized I had 3 of my guys that all did artwork and were in a co-op down on Santa Fe. And I thought, well, shit, you were pretty easy to train and easy to show how to do what we do. Our customers really kind of like you. I wonder if I can find more of you guys. And so I created an ad that's actually, it's really long. It's kind of obnoxious how long it is. If you've ever looked at ads, they're typically like 2 or 3 sentences, and they always say the same stuff. But mine was, are you a starving artist? And then it goes into what we're actually looking for and why we're different and who I am and who my company is and who works for me. And it's evolved over the last 5, 7 years because I've gotten flack. I mean, I've gotten like bad emails. Like people are like, you can't, this isn't a real job, and why are you advertising in art and media? And so every time I got another email, I would answer that question kind of in the email. If you go to Craigslist into the art and media and do a search for artists, my ad will most likely pop up. I'm pretty much running it on a continual basis right now because we've been hiring a new person about once a week, really. And so we started doing that, and we started to find more and more people exactly like those first couple of folks that I had that really fit. Because they had the one skill that was the hardest for me to train, and that was to do a straight line. Everything else I do is a system and a process. I've kind of created a franchise. You've gone through that process. I basically created a franchise of my business without going and selling franchises. We have a manual. We show people. I remember sitting down when I was working with the gal who helped me write all my manuals. And I remember showing her with a napkin, okay, this is how we fold a drop cloth. I mean, that's the level of process that we have. That way, it doesn't matter what team my customers get, they're always going to get a very similar experience. If you go to Starbucks, you're always going to get a pretty consistent cup of coffee or soy, vanilla latte, chai, extra hot with skim or whatever you order, right? And it's because they have systems and processes, right? They throw away their coffee. I don't remember what it is, but maybe if it's an hour old, they throw it away. So it doesn't matter if it's a full cup, a full thing of coffee. If it's been sitting there for an hour, they throw it away. Because they always want every cup of coffee to be fresh. So those are the kinds of things that we've put into our business so that all the guys that I hire, those artists, I just have to show them the system and the process. So we have systems for sales. We have systems for what do we do when a new customer calls us. My office manager goes through all the same questions. So that when I'm talking to a customer and I say, we have systems and processes, and they say, they kind of have that, I don't really know what you're talking about. And then I say, for example, you've talked to Joan, and she probably called you back and confirmed that we had an appointment today. And they go, oh yeah. And I say, and you probably got an email that confirmed your address and the time that we were going to meet, right? Oh yeah, that was great. And so it just proves to her that we have these processes. Instead of me just telling her, we do this and we follow through and we're on time and we have free estimates, all these kind of things. People don't care what you say. They care about what you do and how you make them feel. And if you give them comfort, they're more apt to give you their money, right? Yeah. So that's a little bit about my painting business. I've been doing it for about 16 years. And the funny thing is when I was in college, I ran a painting company back in Chicago. And my dad used to tell me, now, Nick, remember, you're going to school so that you don't have to paint the rest of your life. And I said, I'm going to show you. Oh, and I hit the button too many times. All right, you didn't see all that. So podcasting. A couple of things I want to talk about podcasting, because that's what's brought us to be here today, and that's my topic. I wanted to tell you a little bit about me, so you kind of had a little bit of history of who I am and the fact that I actually do run a business and I have employees. By the way, I have a staff of about 14. So we're a big, small paint company. This is the way I like to say it. So podcasting. So be honest. Who here has listened to a podcast? Okay. Who has listened to my podcast? Okay, so that's your homework for next time. You can't come back. No, I'm just kidding. So podcasting is fantastic. If you don't really understand what podcasting is all about, I'm going to take you back about 20 years. Okay, 20 years ago, if you wanted to buy the latest U2 CD, yeah, there were CDs back then, I think. Yeah, trying to figure it. Okay, so if you wanted to do that, what did you do? You went to the store, right? So now, if you wanted to buy, actually it was probably downloaded for you automatically, you didn't even know it, but how did you get the latest YouTube? Oh, you downloaded it. But iTunes is where you would go. I mean, pretty much, that's the market right now. So again, so 20 years ago, and even still today there's some, but talk radio. If you wanted to hear business or sports or some kind of topic, you'd go to typically AM radio, right? And that's where I was 5 years ago when I started the show, Small Business Naked. Well, today, pretty much everything is going away from radio. A lot of the people that have been on radio are moving to podcasts, or they're duplicating because they see the fact that that is moving away. I don't think you can buy a card today without is it Stitcher or some kind of, I don't even know what the technology is because I don't have a new car. But they're putting the technology in cars now that all that stuff is automatic. So you can download and listen to podcasts and digital media. So a little over a year ago, I was going on a cross-country trip to Portland, Oregon. And my wife and my two boys, we road trip quite a bit. And I typically want to listen to an audio book or something. And so I started looking for audiobooks. I just couldn't find anything. And I really didn't want to buy something that I didn't like. Because I'd gone to the library and I kind of had gone through all the stuff that I really liked. Because I like to listen to one topic, and that's business. I'm really boring in that regard, but I like to listen to business stuff. And so then I was like, well, let me go see if there's anything in that podcasting thing, because I had kind of gotten away from it. And I found this podcast, Small Business, Big Marketing. Write that one down if you have a pen, because I strongly suggest if you have a small business, this guy is fantastic. He's out of Australia, Steve. So that's my connection to Australia. And he talks, he's all about small business. He knows all about all sorts of different things. And one of the things he always says is there's never been a better time to market a small business. And it's because there's a lot of reasons why now we can compete with the big boys. because of social media, because you can do video now. I'm doing this in a video, so I can repurpose the content at some point if I want to. Okay, these are things that we have access to, wherein, even 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, it would have been just astronomical. You needed to have a video camera that was $10,000. Now you could literally, I've done videos with my iPhone, okay, that are pretty top quality. And if you get a few little things to work it out, it won't be all shaky, and you can get really good audio. I mean, these are things that weren't available to us 10 and 20 years ago. On a we just couldn't compete. And now we can. So I listened on the road trip to Portland. I found him, and I just couldn't stop listening. I literally listened. I don't know how many hours that drive it, but I remember we would pull in to get lunch, and my wife and kids would be getting out of the car. And, oh, just wait! I gotta listen to this. I'll be in a minute, And so I literally listened to it all the way to Portland and all the way back. He has like 200 and some odd podcasts now. But he interviews. It's a very similar format to what we do on Small Business Naked. He interviews mostly small business owners that are doing something really well in marketing, whether they're a content creator or a blogger, or maybe they've written a book or videos. Melissa Maker, I talked about her just a second ago. I recommended that he interview her before I had my podcast again, and he interviewed her, and I think that was his favorite interview he's ever done. So after listening to him for a while, and knowing that I had done the radio thing before, I said, you know what, I can't not do this again. It was so much fun. I loved doing it. Johnny and I have a lot of fun, and so I just had to start it again. So that led me to Small Business Naked, but that wasn't enough. No, I had to start another one, so now I do 2 podcasts. It's crazy. But so the Shays Lounge, and I talk the business of interior design. And what I do on that one is more targeted towards my painting business to grow my influence in the interior design space. So what I do is I interview successful designers literally from coast to coast that are successful and have really thriving interior design businesses. And I've talked to really just fantastic people that I would never had gotten the opportunity to talk to without the fact that I had a podcast. Today I did 2 interviews. One was a gal she was in Texas, Austin, Texas, but she's originally from India. So she's born and raised in India. She's been here since 2000, and she literally does projects all over the world. Then an hour later, I talked to a gal who is I believe she's in LA. Yep, and she's originally from Ireland. And in 2000, she moved to the States, and she literally does projects all over the world, works for celebrity clients and all that kind of stuff. And so I do those 2 different podcasts, and they're super, super fun.